Hi everybody, this is the intro video for Unit 7 on thought control. Our assigned movies for this unit are Inherit the Wind and Footloose, the original. The remake done in the early 2000s sucks, don't watch it. Um, the other kinds of movies available for you to view as options, Good Night and Good Luck, Conspiracy Theory, Fahrenheit 451, in 1984. But let me turn back to the two movies that are assigned. Um, yes, Inherit the Wind is in black and white, and I apologize for that, but um, classics sometimes are in black and white. Again, you'll see a bit of over the top acting in Inherit the Wind, partly because, again, it is an adaptation of a play. But the play is based on the actual Scopes monkey trial um, from 1930s. What's really interesting is that a lot of the dialogue, especially in the courtroom scenes, is taken word for word from the trial transcripts. So that part is not made up. Let me just change the lighting a little bit here. That part is not made up. That part is absolutely true. Um, I guess they took those words and created a story around them. So a lot of the other stuff is fictionalized. Yes, the character names have been changed. The two main combatants here in the courtroom are individuals whose names you might recognize from American history. The prosecutor, who in this movie is played by Frederick March and portrays the character Matthew Harrison Brady, is actually a fictionalized version of William Jennings Bryan, who ran for president 3 times. That part of the storyline is true. Um, as a Democrat, lost all 3 times, late 1890s and early 1900s. Um, and a lot of the other stuff was accurate about William Jennings Bryan. The other attorney, the lead attorney for the defense, um, who is played by Spencer Tracy and represents the character of Henry Drummond, is actually a representation of the famous defense attorney in early 20th century American history, Clarence Darrow. Um, so they were allies for many, many years in politics, but in this particular trial, they became fierce adversaries. The courtroom battle between them is classic, and that's why somebody decided to turn it into a play and then a movie. Um, Now, that being said, then Footloose is a movie that is loosely based on some activities, events that took place in a small town in Oklahoma, but it's set in Utah. Actually, if you do a little bit of research and look up Beaumont and Footloose, you'll find that the setting for the filming was actually a small town in Utah. And you get that impression when you look at a lot of the background shots. You see the snow-capped Rocky Mountains. Um, at any rate, it was one of Kevin Bacon's earliest movies, skyrocketed him to fame. Um, and the his dance routines, both alone in that abandoned mill, and then later on at the prom, became famous. And on one of the anniversaries of the release of the movie, he appeared on Saturday Night Live, and at a much older age, recreated the dance. So anyway, a little bit fun stuff there. Now, what I want you to do in watching these movies is think about what these movies have in common besides the fact that I put them in the same unit. You'll catch on. There are a couple of events, um, one in each movie, that sort of are similar and spurred the community to behave the way it did. Obviously, in Inherit the Wind, there's also the imposition of a state law that outlaws the teaching of evolution. Also, think about how could the same kinds of restrictions happen if there wasn't the drive of religion. You might see that in some of the optional movies. For example, in Good Night and Good Luck, which is also in black and white, by the way, but it was an artistic choice by George Clooney to kind of put you in the mood of the 1950s during the McCarthy hearings, which is when that takes place. Um, but if you look at that, that's not religiously based. It is, American fear of communism. Um, so you might want to, if you're interested in addressing this question, I might put some of these questions up as part of the discussion in a few days. Um, how would these restrictions happen if they weren't driven by religion? That was the question I had. And then further, think about what subtleties exist in everyday life to limit our thoughts and actions, and to what extent are they reasonable or not reasonable? And then finally, bringing it to um, uh, our current circumstance, we're seeing a lot of protest against what people are claiming to be the efforts by the government to limit our actions and our thoughts and our beliefs by restricting our ability to go out in public and our ability to go without a mask. We've had some incidents where a security guard at a store was shot by individuals, who he asked to wear a mask. Other individuals have been caught on police body cams ranting and raving at the police because they were told they couldn't enter a store because they didn't have a mask. And another, I forget what state it was from, but a state representative, not a U.S. House representative, but a state representative said he wasn't going to comply with a state-ordered masks in public order because, in his view, we are all made in God's image, and we need to see God's face reflected in our own. So there, one individual at least is bringing religion into sort of fighting back against the restrictions. So think about those questions and enjoy the two movies. Very different in many ways, but very much alike. And see you soon.